This video where I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of the Venezianico lineup. Approximately, they have a number of different lines and different sizes now available in these kind of base models. So I wanted to kind of talk through the upgrades and the changes, refinements that they've made from the 2021 lineup into 2022 as they did their rebrand. They changed their name from Meccaniche Veneziane to Venezianico, if you're not aware. Big uproar about that on the social groups. I'm not sure why. I think it was a solid branding move. I think marketing wise it keeps it very clean. I know from chatting with the guys in late 2021 when we as distributors were told about the rebranding, I know that their goal is to have a wider reach worldwide and get their watches into more hands worldwide and be more attractive and easier to pronounce, importantly. So I wanted to take you through in this video, kind of show you the upgrades and refinements to each of these individual models and what I like about them, what I dislike about them. It's going to be a pretty honest review. And I think we'll start out with their sort of entry piece, which is the Redentore dress watch. And this has always been a beautiful dress watch. It hasn't changed an awful lot over the last 3-4 years. This particular one, the new line for 2022, the biggest changes to it are going to be the bracelet, which is the new Canova bracelet, and a little bit of an upgrade to the case. You may not be aware of the Redentore line before now. I had one of I believe it was the first generation, and the case itself had vertical brushing, much longer, kind of blockier lugs as well. They kind of came out straight and then curved down. So this particular new model has this lovely kind of curve around the wrist that'll wrap around beautifully. You can see it's been very well done. The engineering on these cases is a massive step up from last year even, and that's across the board. The Nereide, the Redentore, and the brand new Ultraleggero, which I'll show you, which is really, for me, the top of the line case. And it's a huge upgrade from what they've ever done before. The Redentore is a really nice dress watch. Lots of different colors available. This is the 40mm model. They have since released a 36 model. So if you prefer that kind of smaller dress size or a lady's wrist, then that's a much more elegant kind of size to wear. This particular one, like I say, it's got the Canova bracelet, 20mm between the lugs, 40mm case. I think it's about 12mm thick. I love the fact that they've gone for the brushed with polished top lugs. It just creates a little bit of a dynamic on the overall look. The crown, you get that beautiful kind of cross, I was going to say Meccaniche Venezianico cross, which I think is a great crown stamp to have. The bracelet itself is a big upgrade from what they've ever done before. They used to do the Jubilee only. That was the only bracelet they did, and it was perfectly adequate. I find it a little bit uncomfortable to wear, especially on the some of the higher end pieces, the GMTs. You're paying $600, $700, $800. I find it a little bit sharp on the inside, a little bit uncomfortable to wear. It would kind of pinch the skin or nip hairs and so on. This Canova bracelet is a huge upgrade, and the key thing is that the pricing hasn't really changed at all. They've just re-engineered everything and made it more refined and better for the same price pretty much. In fact, a lot of the upper models are going to be less expensive than they used to be when they come to be launched later this year. But the Redentore is a beautiful dress watch. They by and large do a sunray dial across the board. There's a lovely kind of forest green look. Very, very rich green, beautiful dial, applied indices, no lume on these, but it's a dress watch, you wouldn't expect any really. Applied indices, you've got the Venezianico logo up there in the middle, Redentore in the bottom. All of these watches that you see here are powered by Seiko movements. The Redentore and the two Nereides are powered by the NH35, so very much workhorse kind of movement. These retail sort of into the 400s, 500s for the Nereide. You can normally get them, for instance, with a service like we provide, Timepiece Monthly, or direct sales as distributors. We can normally get them in for the Redentore for 240, 250, 260, and the Nereides for say 350, 360, 370, depending on whether it's a bracelet or a leather strap. But that's the Redentore, really nice look, very, very well engineered, big upgrade from last year. So that's nice to see. Euro 455 this says, so normally it's about it matches in dollars. Onto the Nereide then. This is kind of the model I see the the most subtle but most important refinements in. So you'll see here, both of these models have sunray dials, so they've kind of introduced that across the line. Some of the ones last year just had like a sunburst or a flat dial, but I think, you know, especially if you look at this one, you know, the beautiful black crystal with what I thought was a black dial, but then it's actually like a really deep, rich gunmetal grey with the sunray effect. It just creates a little bit of contrast with the crystal. Applied indices here as well. These are loomed. I'll pop up a loom shot and you can see very, very nice loom on these ones, but really nice, you know, applied indices, sunray dial. Up top, we've got a BK7 crystal insert. So it creates that kind of sapphire-like shine, you know, a little bit more kind of flat. And of course, it's not sort of etched into like a ceramic dial might be, but it creates that lovely kind of sapphire-like effect and shine without the price point. So these retailing at, what's this one, $565, so $565. You get that kind of sheen and sort of high impact look for much lower than you would have to pay if they had a sapphire crystal and a Swiss movement. Onto the lugs then, you've got the polish, just like the Redentore, polished top. You've got brushed end links there, and then the Canova bracelet is a huge upgrade, as with the Redentore. You've got these H-links which are brushed, and then the center pieces are polished. So a lovely kind of dynamic there, and sort of works well with the, you know, the polished top of the lugs as well. It creates that matching, you know, kind of complementary sort of impact on the wrist. Going around then, butterfly clasp here. I know a lot of people aren't necessarily a fan of a butterfly clasp. I'd probably be in that camp as well. However, this is very, very nice. Looks great. You know, nice seamless look with the Venezianico stamp, matches the crown again up there. On the note of the cases then, again, this is a huge upgrade for this line. They always had vertically brushed cases, which were a little bit roughly brushed, if I may say that. A lot of people don't like the vertical brush for a start, and then it was quite a thick brushing. This particular model, you can see the brushing is very, very smooth. You know, you can virtually not see it, but when you do see it, it's very, very nice impact. It's been very well engineered, very well finished. No complaints there. Big, big upgrade from last year. You've got the crown in there again, the cross. The polish runs through into the crown guards from the top of the lugs. So the case itself, to me, is the biggest upgrade that we've seen in this lineup for years. Well, really since the Nereide started coming out. They brought in, instead of their aluminium or aluminum bezel inserts, they brought in this BK7 crystal about 2 years ago. And it creates that just nice impact kind of sheen. So that's really well done. But the case itself is a huge, huge step up from what came before it. You'll see then as we move up, you got that bezel itself. And it's actually really a quite industrial sort of bezel, and it kind of matches in with the theme. So if we look at just very quickly the case back on this particular one is the submarine, so that's what the Nereide is named after. But the top bezel is actually almost like it's a very industrial kind of warship sort of look. You turn it, nice crisp clicks, very, very easy to grip. Not sharp though, definitely not sharp. A little bit of back play, but not nearly as much. They've actually changed that since what they had before, which was quite a squishy kind of bezel action. A lot of people complained that even on their higher end models, you could really kind of turn it back quite a bit before it settled. So that's definitely a little refinement that most people won't notice, but it is there. But that's the Nereide. I think that's a big upgrade. As with the Redentore, this is powered by an NH35. They're later models. They're bringing out the tungsten Nereide, which has a tungsten bezel insert. It is powered by the Sellita SW200. So again, higher end, retail about $895, I think. I think we're doing it on pre-sale just under 700, so it's even lower than Venezianico. We're doing it for our members at Timepiece Monthly. But a really, really nice upgrade step. So these particular ones being the entry point, then they normally do these limited edition lines throughout a year, like the tungsten. There'll be other ones, I can't really talk about them yet, but come June and into October there are two big launches coming. So that'll be exciting to see. Again, upgraded materials, upgraded movements, which really match in with that kind of higher line that they want to go with. But the overall impact of the Nereide is fantastic wrist presence. Just pop this on the wrist so you can actually see it. Fantastic wrist presence, beautiful shine, and really kind of high impact, especially with that Canova bracelet. It's a huge, upgrade for them this year. Looks great on the wrist, nice and shiny, but it's not going to break the bank, and you get that kind of workhorse standard microbrand movement in the NH35. Very reliable, very, very few failures on that. So you're kind of getting a piece that's going to last, and it's going to serve you really well and be high impact for the wrist. So that's the Nereide line. Again, huge upgrades, which leads us on to the Ultraleggero, which this is technically a Nereide. It's called the Nereide Ultraleggero. It's the skeletonized dial. There are some significant differences though in the case design, which I'm not sort of sure about. I'm kind of hoping that they take this case and run with it for the upper line levels. For instance, the new LEs they're launching in June and then in October, because those models are going to be, more complex, more complicated, higher price, and this case is really something else. This is a very, very beautiful, well-engineered case. So if you look at the normal Nereide line, you'll see the similarities and the differences. It's got the same shape, it's got the approximate same profile, but on the Ultraleggero, there's been a little bit of extra engineering to it. So you get that polished bevel or contour on the top edge, which you do not get on the standard Nereide. And I think that really adds up to a lot, because you get it top and bottom. I don't know if you can see there, it's on the bottom as well. But what that does is it takes the case and it makes it look even thinner and more wearable on the wrist. So this is a much more kind of elegant wearable case at a 42 size. The Nereide, the standard Nereide, is a little bit chunkier. I think the bezel on this, it could be a mirage, but I'm pretty sure that the bezel on this Nereide is thicker than the Ultraleggero too. I think everything has kind of been squished down on the Ultraleggero and just a little bit more thin and elegant and high impact with that case. I think the case is, next level. I think it's a huge step up. So that's the biggest upgrade that I see in the Nereide line, is this particular case, and I hope that they do this on more watches as they go, because it's beautiful. It's really, really well engineered, very, very well put together, and very wearable as well. Case back as well, you'll see, is a little bit different. And we do have the artwork. You've got the kind of Leonardo artwork here versus the submarine. But you'll notice that the screw ends, if I can get that in focus, the screw ends are very different. So on the normal Nereide, there's more of a kind of bulbous case back to it, whereas the Ultraleggero, the skeletonized dial, has a thinner movement. It's able to kind of go into that thinner case while still being transparent. You can kind of see through into the movement. This particular one, you can see here a little bit more of a bulbous bust out on the case back. So if you look at them roughly side by side, you'll see the difference that would make on a wrist. And this is really next level. Now, I'm not a guy for skeletonized dials. It just doesn't do anything for me, but I think this has been really well done. This particular one uses the NH, I believe it's a 70A skeletonized dial. Normally quite often on these, they put the logos on the underside of the crystal, which I've seen before, but on this particular one, they actually have figured out a way to have both the logo and the name of the watch on the dial itself, which is really impressive. I feel like there is a double kind of layer there. There's a flat, that's what they've done for the applied indices. There's a flat kind of crystal inside overlaying the blue movement. Applied indices and the logos and everything have been put on top of that. So that's how they've done it. The cutouts are very, very nice. There's this kind of multi-layered blue dial, which I think is really nice. It's still a 21.6 movement. But it still appears pretty smooth. Up top, we have a stainless steel bezel insert, and you'll see it's been kind of sunray brushed out, which creates a really nice effect. I think the movement itself is pretty much identical. Yeah, there's a tiny bit of backplay. I think it's pretty much the same. Again, perfectly lines up. All the applied indices are loomed and the loom pip is loomed. The markers are not on this. So just bear that in mind. The last thing I'll say about this is these particular ones are on pre-order again now. They sold out really fast. You can get them on steel. They just announced that the Canova bracelet is going to be kind of across the board. We can buy the Canova bracelet pretty much for any model now, which they didn't have at the start of the year when they relaunched. To me, I'm not a fan of this leather. It's kind of coarse and sharp, with this, the kind of edges where the stitching is. It's not particularly comfortable to wear. It doesn't, hear it kind of squeak. And I think it's it matches in nicely with the blue, but I'm not a fan of the design or the build on it. I think it feels pretty cheap. Whereas the bracelets do not. They feel very, very high end. And the other leather that you can get with other models in the line are very, very nice. So I think this is just one kind of minor misstep. I mean, I'm not going to complain too much about that. I think if you're getting this watch, you'd be better on steel anyway, or maybe just a plainer leather, but of course that's subjective. Some people I know love this particular band. It's just a little bit different in design. It's just not for me, but that's just a subjective thing, as I say. So that is really the lineup that we're talking about at the moment. Now this is mid 2022, so we have some new launches. We've got the Tungsten coming out at the end of this month. We have the 39 Nereides available. We have the 36 Redentores available. They've also done some different colors in all of these. So for instance, the Nereide Blue in 39 is a different shade of blue, and it's actually what I think is their best blue yet. This is beautiful, very nice and rich, but the Nereide 39 Blue and the Nereide 39 Green I think are really, really beautiful. And they offer therefore something different in the 39 versus the 42, and I personally would wear both. So I think that's a good move. I think they've done the right thing there and kind of diversifying the color palette within each of the lineups. We also have some big launches coming for the rest of the year. Again, can't talk too much about those, but they're more upper end watches. So if you know Meccaniche Veneziane from past, moving into Venezianico now, you'll know that their upper line models generally involve something ceramic, something Swiss, exhibition case backs, and maybe something a bit more complicated in terms of the movement. But for now, hopefully that was of help, just to show you around these new models and the refinements they've made to them. I think they're big steps up, big refinements, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they go into 2023 and beyond, especially with these new launches coming. But thanks for watching as always, guys. Let me know if you have any questions or anything with regards to any of these models. And as always, take care, have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.